Hello and welcome to the first in the Portal Education webinar series, Achieving an Exceptional Student Experience at Brockenhurst College. I'm Caelan Hargrave. I lead the education sector in the UK on behalf of IBM. IBM and Portal have been working together for some years in developing the concept and delivering the Exceptional Student Experience solution. IBM being 102 years old as a mass global organization of technological innovation, and Portal being a sector-specific expert in delivering on the ground and creating real business value within our education clients. IBM and Portal have come together in a stronger way to bring our sales vision and our delivery to make sure there is more fruit for the colleges and universities that take up the exceptional student experience proposition across the UK. I'm delighted that you've joined us for this very important Portal webinar. You may have picked up our postcard invitation at the Association of Colleges event just a few weeks ago, seen our social media posts, or indeed have been shared this recording. We are simply delighted that you're able to join us for this quick-fire interview with CEO and Principal Di Roberts of Brockenhurst College. Over the next 25 minutes, we want to share with you the challenges that Brock is facing and the need for a smarter way of working, the ESD solution and how it works, and most critically, the benefits that Brock have seen and expect to see over the next 4 academic years. Di has kindly given her time to share her raw thoughts on the experience with us to date, and we really want to ensure this is as engaging as possible. So please do pop your questions into the chat box throughout, and I'll ensure that we weave them into our involving conversation. We've scheduled some time at the end in order to cover your summary questions to ensure this has the greatest value to the time that you've invested in listening to this quick-fire interview. After the webinar, we'll make sure you get a copy of the Brockenhurst case study, which documents the story we're about to share with you, and the recording link of this webinar to make sure you can share with colleagues and peers across the sector. So as I said, please do make sure that you pop your questions into the Q&A panel on the right, and we can make sure that we cover everything that interests you. Di and I have agreed that we will share the raw story, the trip-ups, and the successes to give you a very balanced view. With that in mind, let's kick off right away. And firstly, let me say, Di, thank you so much for joining us for this webinar and taking time out of the busy campus schedule. How are things going on campus at the moment?
Oh, thank you, Caelan, and hello from the heart of the New Forest on this quite sunny day. We've got lots of students milling around at the moment. It's break time, so if you hear any inadvertent noise, it's because they're just outside this conference room. Brockenhurst College, as I say, is in the heart of the New Forest. We're a tertiary college. We've been in existence for over 100 years, and we serve a very wide catchment area, a lot of which is within the rural environment. We have 3,016 to 18 full-time learners. We have over 1,000 apprentices. We have over 8,000 part-time learners who are adults. We work with employers right across the region. We are designated outstanding by Ofsted, but like all colleges, we are facing a range of challenges. Around 18 months ago, we decided to work with what is our nearest competitor college, Bournemouth and Poole, to look at how we could pull together our resources and develop a shared service organisation. It's really quite interesting because when I say competitor college, I really do mean a competitor college. We have students that come from the same area, both 16 to 18 and adults, and indeed we fish in the same pond, so to speak, around employers and adults. However, the principal of Bournemouth and Poole and myself really came together and decided that by working cooperatively, even in a competitive environment, we could pull together and together really develop our back office systems, which would save money, develop expertise and raise quality, and then the savings we could then invest back into teaching and learning.
And so West was born, West being Wessex Education Shared Services, that conglomerate that binds you two together. Tell us a little bit more about what services West provides to both you and Bournemouth and Poole.
Okay, so West has been in operation now for about 15 months. It's had a full year, and then we're into now the second year. And we decided that what we would do, first of all, is we weren't going to play around at the peripheral side of things. So we have in our shared services our management information, our MIS. We have finance, human resources, payroll, examinations, student records, data returns, and it's actually really knitted the two business services aspects of the college really tightly together. We are a company limited by guarantee. The two colleges are directors of the company, and although we started with ourselves and Bournemouth and Poole College, our plan is over the next 5 years to bring more colleges into the WES family so they can share some of the savings and benefit from the expertise that two colleges together and then more colleges together can actually afford to invest in.
And really with that, what I find delicious about the story with West is as you put it, focusing on core business, ensuring that delivering outstanding education in this region, it is done by both parties with their respective differences, but making sure that back office functions can create savings to fuel innovation. And at that time, I remember you and I having that discussion around your thoughts. Share with us, once you kind of completed the West story and it was starting to provide value, where you really were in thinking about transforming Brockenhurst College.
Well, one of the benefits of WES in terms of the financial savings was we then wanted to use those savings to invest back into the college, particularly around technology, particularly around being able to enrich the offer that we have to our students. And it's actually been very effective in the first year because the shared services company was able to pay back more in savings than we had set as a target for the first year. And that put us in a position to be able to develop further our talks with IBM and Portal around how we could work very closely with them to take the learning experience and, in fact, the whole way we use technology in the college to a completely different level.
Fantastic. And really scaling that out and enhancing that, that thought at a macro level, can you cover the sort of challenges that Brockenhurst College kind of was facing at that time, but is certainly facing as the increasing instability of the further education market in the UK grows ever much a concern?
I mean, I think anyone who works in the further education sector, if you said to them, what are the challenges that you're facing, it is really the 3 R's: recruitment, retention, and reputation. We have to make the very best of what are increasingly limited resources. We have had significant cuts over the past few years, and certainly looking into the future after the general election, we know there will be further cuts coming down the way. So what you have to do is make the very best of those resources. And if I say focus on recruitment to start with, we all know that we have falling demographics around our 16 to 18 students. We want to maintain our market share and would look to increase our market share, but we're doing that in an increasingly competitive environment. We have UTCs, we have free schools, we have school sixth forms popping up left, right and centre. And so what we have to do is really make sure that prospective students choose us consciously, because certainly in our position in Brockenhurst, we are in the middle of the New Forest, and students all have to travel to us We're attached to a very small village, and we probably have about 100 students who actually come to us from the village. So that means 3,016 to 18 learners. They are coming from a very wide area. And I think what is absolutely important is as soon as they engage with the college at whatever aspect, we are connecting with them and really making them feel that our college is the college that they aspire to go to, and they feel part of it almost as soon as they make the first contact. We also have growth areas around work-based learning in terms of reaching out to employers, making it easier for our assessors when they're out working with apprentices into businesses, again over a wide geographical area. And finally, our international work. We have 2 campus schools that we work with in China, and both of those schools are really excited about how they will have even closer links with the campus here through the technology that we will develop through the Exceptional Student Experience Project.
That's really helpful, and I agree. I think most colleges are facing similar challenges, but also great opportunities to take advantage of too. It's kind of that dichotomy in some ways. Tell us around some of the retention challenges that Brockenhurst has faced.
Okay, I mean, we generally have good retention here at Brockenhurst, but I think it's really important that we don't sit on our laurels.
Our laurels,
yes,
yes,
sit on your laurels, and actually don't move with the speed that our students are moving in terms of their digital natives. So we have had a real focus in the college about using blended learning, about using e-learning, and we have some quite effective systems around monitoring and tracking students. However, what we want to do is take that again to the next level. And the exceptional student experience, particularly through the predictive analytics, is really not only going to allow us to focus on students who are maybe close to leaving for whatever reason, but for us to be able to predict well in advance that these students may be at risk, these students will show patterns that show that they maybe need additional support, or they're not achieving as well as they should. But it's having that information at the earliest opportunity so we can get in there with support networks, with really nurturing that student so we get them through that bumpy period.
That's really insightful. And just to complete the sort of view in terms of the challenges that you face, tell us around the demands of learners against Brock's reputation.
I think in terms of we have a high reputation, but increasingly the schools are using technology. They're perhaps having, I don't wish to sound bitter around this, but they may be having more investment than further education is having. And it's about making sure that not only do you meet the expectations in students being able to study anytime, anywhere, in a flexible way, but you are setting the standard. And certainly the collaborative aspect of the exceptional student experience is really going to allow us to push that forward significantly. So our students are used to submitting their work electronically. They're used to having interactive activities on our eBrock portal. They're used to blended learning, but this is, again, is going to shift it up another gear so that they are able to be doing conferencing with each other, not just across this campus, but if they're at home with fellow students who are back in the college, but also with our partners over in China, to have greater collaboration across with our university partners and indeed with employers and alumni.
That gives a really helpful overview in terms of the challenges that Brock has faced and indeed is facing. To take us to the sort of next stage, as you mentioned, IBM and Portal engaged with Brockenhurst College in January of 2014, specifically to look at how we could look at these challenges, fuse innovations and insights we've gained from our exceptional student experience partners to date, and really create a revolution, as you say, not just being complacent, but driving innovation and transformation for the next 2020 vision that Brockenhurst holds. And there were three real solution areas that we came out with: digital marketing, predictive analytics, and social portal. And if I just give a very quick example of how these technologies will impact learners on the ground, and you've indicated many examples yourself there, which is tremendous. But if I look at the prospective students, so learners that are going to be coming towards the institution, with digital marketing, they're really going to be able to come to Brock's fantastic new website and get a very dynamic experience, enriched with information, advice, and guidance, almost an Amazon-type experience in which it's highly assertive, personalized, and integrated across any device, giving them a dynamic journey towards the institution and making sure they're on the right course and valued with active keep warm activities. The predictive analytics is predicting, based on everything we understand about those prospective students, we can understand who is most likely to drop out or have a challenge in the first 42 days of campus life. So we can empower business processes and student support on the ground in Brock to go and provide help to those that need it, even before they need it, to ensure that there's success for everyone. And social portal, to ensure that learners aren't getting just a flat prospectus, but are getting a window into an experience, such that they're able to connect and build a community of support with friends from their speed at school, with academics on the ground in the college, and student support likewise. So those first few days aren't as scary as they once were. Now that's just a really quick example of how these technologies, in just a couple of use cases, are going to impact prospects. But of course, as you mentioned, this is going to impact learners on the ground and internationally, alumni, employers, parents, staff, governors, and every stakeholder of Brockenhurst College. And we're really excited to see some of those developments so far. If I take us forward in terms of the expected benefits that we've really seen, or that you are expecting to see, Di, from the use of these solutions, can you walk us through, in the frame of recruitment, retention, and reputation, what those really are?
Certainly, in terms of, we have set a target of a 15% increase in recruitment, and that's not just students who have applied to us and then actually being converted into learners sitting here in September or throughout the year, but it's about recruitment right from day one. So as Kane has said, as soon as they touch the college, and I have a tendency to think of it as a little bit of, it's a sticky system. So once they make they touch the website, we have them, they're stuck to us. But it's about doing it in a way that they feel engaged. They don't feel, as you can sometimes feel, that they're being harassed about it. And that's where the connection between that and the social collaboration is so important. This isn't about just keep flashing up, as I find when I'm on a website, oh, here's the last dress that you looked at. This is about them feeling part of a community, and that's, I think, what's a really significant difference.
And driving that prediction that you guys have made.
Yes. We want to see a 15% increase in retention. I don't mean retention from when our first census date is. We would expect to see some increase in retention there, but we actually have some good retention levels already. What we're looking for is that retention from when they send in an application through to them actually becoming a Brock student. So it's more about that conversion rate that we're particularly interested in.
And would it be fair to say that within the ambition of that 15% increase in retention prediction, we'd want to get greater value add, high retainment for everyone, yes, and other quantitative academic results?
Yes. It's about being able to not just stop students from leaving or where they have difficulties, but it's about making sure that every student actually meets or exceeds their potential. And that's certainly something that we feel very confident the whole system will allow us to achieve. And we're also, we've set a target of a 30% increase in reputation. And my board said, well, you know, how are you going to measure that? And certainly it's about more employers, more learners, more schools, more universities, more of the wide stakeholders that we have actually having easier access to the wonderful work that we're doing in Brock, and having easier access to the really high quality learners that we have, and the benefits for them in terms of being able to be outward facing as part of Brock, because we will be much more digitally visible.
And of course, within that, it is a tricky one to quantify. But I know we've set some targets around social media sentiment analysis. So being able to measure the local brand perception through social media now, and then once we've engaged those communities in a much richer way. So taking it on in story and really trying to build the visual of this for the listeners on the webinar call. I just wanted to try and give a couple of visualizations of how these technologies are really going to work in practice, but from the institution's point of view. You know, this is about the exceptional student experience, and we want to make sure that we're assisting colleges and universities to be more student-centric. But of course, it comes with a raft of benefits for the business of education. So looking at digital marketing first, you know, and if I specifically focus on the marketeer here, we can empower the limited resources of Brockenhurst College and the traditional print-based modes of moving out to market with much greater insight, so we can understand the biggest bang for the buck with every single marketing penny spent, and ensure that we are reaching out to prospective learners through the channels that they're immersed in. Leaders such as yourself, Di, are really hoping that we can capture local learner and employer needs to be able to feed into curriculum development, to make sure that Brock is always one step ahead. Looking at predictive analytics, I already mentioned about the 42 days prediction, but one thing that we really want to help staff members with is giving them, you know, scrumptious insight and real-time data at their fingertips. So as they're walking down the busy corridors of this fantastic campus, they're able to understand the learners that are in front of them, where they should be, and assist them in just those human connections by empowering them with prioritizing their time. We want to make sure that we are helping to understand what makes an exceptional student, and how can we use analytics to help map them to work experiences and indeed employment beyond the institution to make sure you have the very best life outcomes. And lastly, looking at social portal, we really want to ensure that the international student is able to access the fantastic learning and intellectual property that is here on Brockenhurst campus, so they can interact with academics and peers on the ground. But of course, learners on campus here are getting that international experience. They're learning from different cultures, such that we've got globally ready individuals that are leaving Brockenhurst College in the New Forest and are available for international positions globally. So some of the benefits that we see there around the use cases for exceptional student experience within the college. And just to bring it back to the benefits that you're really going to see with this, Di, how confident would you say, and what results have you seen so far, that it ensured that the transformative investments that you've made in exceptional student experience is really going to drive benefit for Brockenhurst?
Certainly, it has been a real experience working with IBM and Portal in terms of, we knew that what we didn't want is something that came off the shelf and we were just going to plug it in. In a busy college environment, actually having the wherewithal to drive that change through is quite difficult. So we had to really put together a very strong business case, because we're talking about a £1.5 million investment over 5 years, and of course our governors here wanted to know what, how and when, and certainly the speed at how the project is developing has quite taken us by surprise, because it is a very complex, it is a big program, but already we have seen savings, we've seen £500,000 of savings by taking this solution through to the managed cloud service. We are now ready with our marketing analytics, so that's happened in the space of about 2 months. So we're now ready, and that will be launched in January. And so for next year's intake, we already have our sticky paper there, which we anticipate will have an impact on our recruitment over the summer period for the start of the new academic year for our 16 to 18 learners. In terms of how IBM have worked within the college, we, as part of the package, bought a number of days, and it's those days that are the most important part of implementing the exceptional student experience. This has been totally tailored for the college, so it isn't ripping up all the existing systems that we have. It's actually incorporating them, it's knitting a system around them. And we have change champions now in the college who are now working with IBM to really get it that's in a way that is so Brock and meets our learners' needs. And the change management, the expertise in that has come through IBM and Portal has been exceptional. And it gives us that timeline, it gives us that pace, and it makes sure that we are doing what we need to do in the right order. And I do think you need that. I think actually doing such a large project in a college where every person hour is almost assigned anyway, because we're all running a very lean organization, to have that expertise come in, to have that complete flexibility, and they have been very flexible, has enabled this project to move at a significant pace. So we are able then to see the benefits, the governors can see the benefits, the staff can see the benefits, and very quickly now the learners are going to see the benefits.
Perfect. And just to expand upon the kind of timeline that you were starting to really show there, and just to pick up on some of those points in the last couple of minutes that we have, the title of this webinar is around how do we achieve an exceptional student experience. And of course, it's a technological transformation as much as a cultural transformation, and that we're not just plugging things in, running away, but really becoming a part of the Brock family in order to enhance the work on the ground. We showcased the vision in January of 2014. We very quickly had a qualifying discussion in February with governors and indeed SMT at Brock in order to understand what were the priorities.
And can I just say, Kayleen, the one thing that I was particularly impressed with is the amount of time that was invested before we got even talking about a contract. And that, I think, was very reassuring for the college, that this wasn't just it's not a large organization that has this one-size-fits-all. It was that if I added up the days that you spent, your team spent, actually in the college, helping us to understand the possibilities, helping us to shape what the vision could be, and it didn't cost us a penny, which is always, I think, a really good sales point, because if I can see how good it is before I parted with a penny, then that does give us the reassurance about when we're making a significant investment that, yeah, we are going to get that same service and that same commitment.
And I think before and after a contract, these transformative partnerships are about the relationship, they're about the trust. And before contract and after, I think if you have to refer to the contract at all, you probably lost one of those things on the way. We're delighted to develop such a strong partnership with Brockenhurst. After that qualifying session and the time that we invested was really put in those workshops between March and May of 2014, understanding the art of the possible, understanding the situation on campus, building the business case, prioritizing those the phases of delivery, and indeed going to the Governor's Board on June 14th to get a really excited board to give the go-ahead, because they had the assurance that this was going to be successful. We contracted in June and July, and Di, it's probably fair to say that this was one of our trip-ups in terms of the contracting. Why don't you give us very quickly your thoughts on that?
Yes, I seem to remember most of my summer holiday was sat with a glass of wine on a terrace talking to the IBM director who had a glass of beer in Cornwall, while the two lawyers argued amongst themselves because it's a very difficult concept, I think, to get your head round, but even more difficult if you are a lawyer. But again, although it was it felt like a very protracted period, what I was very impressed with is IBM Portal's absolute determination to get it right. Indeed, where we had some hiccups and we didn't think we were getting what we should be, they've actually put additional resources in. So most definitely, although it was a summer I will remember for a while, it was a good thing to have gone through, because again it really strengthened my confidence that you weren't just talking the talk, you actually were going to walk the walk and deliver.
It's fair to say as well that both IBM and Portal have been working on this concept for some time, but we're still learning. The situation in FE is still changing, and I think that was definitely something we've learned from, and we've now implemented a new way of procuring to make sure that others don't suffer quite the same summer disruption that you did. You mentioned there, Di, that there was a mismatch of expectations, particularly with predictive analytics. But we sat down with that trusted relationship to understand both sides. And IBM and Portal have put together a resolution to make sure that we're meeting the expectation that we set. And you're happy that that's resolved now?
Absolutely. And again, that was working with our WES shared services, again, to come up for a solution. But a solution that didn't just solve the short-term problem, that was actually building capacity within our shared services company. So the expertise from IBM and Portal were being transferred into there. And that, again, in terms of long-term viability, I think was really good to see.
That's excellent. And Di, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us on this webinar. In terms of next steps for those of you that are on the line, we will email out the case study and webinar link to make sure you have that to share with colleagues. You can very much register for an on-campus demonstration of some of the items that Di and I have already walked you through, and indeed some of the Brockenhurst live systems that we have available to show you the power in a real sense of what we've described. And indeed, get in touch to take up a WES proposition, in that if you're interested in joining an exceptional student experience, Brockenhurst have kindly, through Wessex Education Shared Services, been able to offer a discount to other colleges and universities to ensure that you can take advantage of the effort and hard work that Brockenhurst have put to co-create this solution and dip your toe in with digital marketing. Any thoughts on that, Di, specifically?
I think because this has happened, again, even more quickly around the timeline that we had, our marketing team and indeed the sort of subject leads are really excited about this, because it is going to be such an impact for our students from January. So all the ones that we have out there, the ones that we want to keep warm, the ones that we want to bring into the family very quickly, it certainly has developed into something that even I couldn't have envisaged when we were first looking at it.
And I think what's really critical, and the final message here is, Brockenhurst have decided to do one massive big bang transformation in how they operate. But not all colleges and universities are going to be in the same boat. So digital marketing can be a great on-ramp, a very cost-effective but high-impact way to be able to start your exceptional student experience journey. Please do join us for the upcoming Portal webinar education series into 2015. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today. My thanks, and IBM and Portal thanks to Di Roberts for joining us, and indeed have a very great rest of the day. Thank you.